the news of the moment is that Ben Simmons refused to get into a drill today. Remember, yesterday there's photos and videos of Ben Simmons at practice, everybody else in full gear. He's in sweatpants, and you could see a cell phone in his pocket. Here's Doc Rivers on what happened today.
I didn't think he wanted to do what everybody else was doing. And it was early. It wasn't a big deal. Just told him he should leave then. And we went on with practice.
This was Doc when he was asked what Ben specifically did to get kicked out of practice.
That's none of your business. That's why practice is closed. And that's, honestly. So not being a jerk, but there's things you need to know, and then there's things you don't.
Here's Joel Embiid about Ben Simmons.
At this point, I don't care about that man, honestly. He does whatever he wants. That's not my job. That's those guys' jobs. I'm only focused on trying to make the team better, win some games, play hard every night, try to lead, the guys that we have here. And I'm sure they feel the same way because, our chemistry has been excellent. Despite, everything that's been happening in the last few months.
This was Embiid saying more about the Simmons situation.
Our job is not to babysit somebody. We get paid to put just on the court, go on, play hard, win some games. That's all we get paid for.
So when he said, I'm done with that person, like they're done. And it's pretty obvious it's a bad scene, right? And I think when you factor in yesterday and the reaction to yesterday, and then today I really don't want to be here. We know what's coming, right? This is the couple that that one side thought they were trying to work it out, and the other side was like, yeah, I'm just not in. And finally, you're like, this is just not good. This is just dumb. Let's just cut up the assets, figure out what one's gonna pay the next, and let's move on. But the interesting part is that it does feel like the Sixers wanted to give it a go, like legitimately wanted to work it out. And I almost credit Ben Simmons here because he didn't want to show up. But once you show up, you kind of got to do the job. I don't know. I'm kind of torn here. Obviously, the Sixers, now that they've suspended him, will be able to fine him for a conduct detrimental. The other side to it, though, is interesting because what if you just threw him in a game? And while he wouldn't play and play hard, wouldn't you just throw him in a game and almost make him? You're going to make us look bad. We're going to make you look bad. But here's what you do if you're Ben Simmons and you act this way. If you show up and you choose, look, James Harden was an MVP of the league. James Harden did essentially the same or kind of almost similar thing. The differences are, one, it wasn't the only team James Harden's been with. Two, they weren't a championship team starting last year. Everything had clearly changed. And three, just has way more longevity, way more equity. Still, I believe Houston did not have to trade him to a potential champion. Now I look at the Philadelphia 76ers and the anger and the venom that's coming from Joel Embiid is likely a reaction to the anger and the venom that's coming from the rest of the team. They are mortified. They are upset. They are angry. They feel disrespected. Hey, man, we all show up to practice. You can't just go through practice. Because the reality is, even if he gets traded, he's going to want to be in basketball shape and not hopping into drills. Like, how are you even in shape? You're literally wasting everybody's time and hurting yourself. But now you have to open it up if you're the 76ers and think about making a move out of spite. Make a move out of spite. Send him to Sacramento. Send him to Minnesota. Send him to one of these places. Send him to New Orleans. Send him to a place where they're not going to win, and you want to play? Like, go ahead. Do your thing. But we're not going to send you, so we're not going to give you the ideal situation. We're not going to create some sort of avenue of success for you. You know? And I know Harden did essentially the same thing last year, only it was worse because it leaked into playing basketball games. I would say there's a bit of a difference there. But what a bad look for the NBA. I mean, think about it. If you have the NBA feels like it's back too soon, right? The Lakers won a championship 2 seasons ago, like a year ago. It was a year and like a week ago. So you're packing in all these games. It feels like it just ended. Now it's back in. Oh, yeah, by the way, in addition to Kawhi being out with an injury, in addition to who else? Klay Thompson being out with an injury. Like, go through the list of NBA teams, and, the Boston Celtics have kind of been blown up. Brooklyn doesn't. In addition to all of the injuries, which are real, right? They're absolutely real. Jamal Murray's still out with injury. You don't have Jamal Murray. You don't have Klay Thompson. You don't have Kawhi Leonard, all coming back from devastating injuries. In addition to which, Kyrie won't get vaccinated. That's been a sideshow. And now Ben Simmons wouldn't show up, now does show up, but doesn't want to participate. As much as the NFL had drama in the offseason with Russell Wilson floating out the possibility of being traded, Aaron Rodgers floating out the possibility of retiring, wanted to be traded, of Deshaun Watson wanted to be traded and now being accused of all these things. Once the games started, even the preseason games, but once the games started, there was none of this nonsense. None of it. The NBA, it's going to linger on. It's the league of drama. And while it works for them at times, I don't think it's working for them now. I just don't. Yes, you have the Lakers with, adding another former MVP and building, albeit an older roster, a roster that is littered with Hall of Fame names. Yes, you have the Bucks, who are kind of a feel-good story, being back and trying to win another championship. Yes, you have Kevin Durant, who put himself on a pedestal as the greatest player on earth with his performance, not just last year in the playoffs, but in the Olympics this year. And he's back, and now he has James Harden. And we'll see. Like, there is some good. And the Knicks are competitive. I think the Bulls will be competitive. I think the Warriors are going to beat the Lakers tonight. Like, all of that stuff. But, man, this drama is bad. Bad. You got to, if you want to win the hearts and minds of the Midwest, okay, of the traditional NBA fans, I ain't going to practice. I ain't taking off my sweats. Zion's out with another injury. Like, look, again, think of the top 20 names in the NBA. Top 20 dudes. And you have Zion who's out, and yeah, he hurt his foot, but if you saw the picture, he looks fat. He just does. He looks heavy, which, of course, will lead to a foot injury. You got Zion, Kyrie, and Kawhi. And, oh, yeah, by the way, how big are not just Kawhi, and now you have Ben Simmons. I mean, how big are not having those three, Kawhi, Kyrie, and Zion? All three have their own signature shoe. Those guys are big-time names, big-time players. And one of them, it's just because he doesn't want to get the vaccine. And now Simmons throwing this hissy fit. Woo. I love the NBA. I think the guys are so talented. It's so competitive. It's an international sport. I love it. I can't wait to see the Warriors and Lakers tonight. I'm going to like both games. But Ben Simmons' actions today combined with Kyrie Irving, like, yee. Yikes.